gentlemen, welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast, where we will have real life conversations that help you develop an accurate way of thinking. The way we're going to do this is by gaining a better understanding of how feelings, emotions, and thoughts can influence the outcome of a personal or professional challenge. I'm your host, Mario P. Fields, and today's guest is Ronaldo Linares. Let me put chef in front of that, ladies and gentlemen. Chef Ronaldo Linares. He's a United States Marine Corps veteran. He's an entrepreneur, business owner. I mean, you name it. And he's got some other things behind the scenes that he's doing. Welcome to the show, Ronaldo.
Hello, Sergeant Major. Thank you for having me here on Unarmored Talk. I'm very, very excited. Just want to chat with you here and to get an unarmored discussion going on. And thank you for that wonderful intro.
Yeah, you can call me Mario.
I can't. The Marine in me can't do it. I'm sorry. I've tried calling you Mario, but I feel like I'm going to get slapped in the back of my head. So Sergeant Major is going to be. You're going to have to do with it, Sergeant Major.
Hey, you got it, man. You're the guest. And also, ladies and gentlemen, Ronaldo is actually a global inspirational speaker on the team. So he made it through the vetting process. He's one of the few that I believe will make it through Global's vetting process. And so, I'm looking forward to 2021, the company and you doing great things and making more positive impacts on audiences across the world in a virtual environment.
Yeah, likewise, right? Virtual environment for sure. And it seems that that's going to be the sticking point for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree. Well, hey, man, tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself.
Real quick, guys. So my name is Ronaldo Linares, also known by Chef Ronaldo. I am 40 years old, and I've been in this private chef game for a couple of years now. Before that, I had my restaurant for about 20 years with my family, and I've done it all, man. I've authored books, been in the Marine Corps, done the whole TV show thing. I'm most proud of my family, my kids, my wife, and then just continuing devotion just to be an excellent human being. And and I think that's what attracted me to you, Sergeant Major, and the way you live your life. That's who I am in a nutshell. Just somebody that wants to leave a great impact upon his community, whether it be on a health perspective, on a perspective of, helping people cope with, for example, diabetes. I do work with the American Diabetes Association, also with the American Heart Association, AARP. So I'm really, I have a soft heart for that. Having parents that are elderly, I know how important it is to be healthy, to be able to see a good life.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, this is Unarmored Talk, and we're going to jump right into the topic. So a lot of folks today, they see this 40-year-old, you look like you're about 22, but they see this, 40-year-old, lean in me, right? I can see some of the muscles. There you go. Yeah, I told you. and they see this, this Marine veteran who is a chef and who's successful, depending on what your definition of successful is. But what they don't see is you were born and raised and grew up not initially in America. It was Colombia. And it wasn't during peaceful times in your neighborhood. Talk to us about that journey from Colombia to the United States. Now we got Chef Ronaldo.
Oh, man, that journey, it was a long time ago, and a journey that I'm very grateful for. So I was born in Colombia, Medellin. Colombia, say with me, Sergeant Major, Medellin.
In Medellin.
There we go.
Did I get it?
So, you got it. Virtual high five. Boom. So I was born in 1980 in Colombia. A few years after that, Pablo Escobar, came to power in the drug cartel world and became one of the most infamous faces of the drug trade. It's still today. You say Pablo Escobar, everybody knows. But during that time, it got really bad and it got violent. There was drug wars against the police, and eventually the cartel started going after American families living in Colombia. So we were, I was American, born abroad, the United States. Basically what that means, I was born in another country, right. Still American, still a citizen. And we were well off over there. And I remember one of the first times where it was kind of like, man, this is getting bad, right? We were very well off. We had a huge house. We had 12-foot high brick walls with spikes embedded into the wall and glass. And that was the form of security, right?
Wow.
And then the windows themselves had bars on them. So again, security, right? But it was somewhat normal to us. So on that infamous day, we were out in the garden. We had a beautiful, lush garden, white rocks. We had the old school lawnmower where you had to push and it had the blades, right? So I would mow the lawn. I help our gardener out, picking up grass and everything, the grass trimmings. And I remember I heard a gunshot, but it was a little too close. Usually you hear them, you're like, it's kind of like, another gunshot, right?
Right.
But this time the gunshot was very close, and I remember looking up. So I was picking up the grass clippings, and I look up, and down about 50 yards, let's say 100 yards down, I see a gentleman. He's running, holding his left leg. It looks like he got shot. He's going up. There's a lady holding. This is why I get animated. This lady holding bags, and back then you will shop to the market, you will bring your cloth bags and you put your groceries in there, milk, eggs, flour, you name it. So that she's walking up, and the guy runs aside, and then the guy comes right behind on a motorbike. He turns, stops in front of the lady, takes out what seemed to be a 9mm, shoots her 5 times in the head. And I could still hear those gunshots. And I'm watching all this, right? And I have a rake in my hand. I'm just like, oh my God. And I never flinched. I never wanted to run away. I didn't cry. I was just like, what is going on? Lady drops. The guy gets on the bike, goes after the other guy. Minute later, the other guy goes down.
Wow.
And either choice A, run in the house after that happened. Choice B, stay there kind of in shock. Or choice C, which was what I chose, run towards the chaos and see what happened. As I get up there, I am running out of breath. I stand over the body, and there's blood still pumping out from her head. As you know, Sergeant Major, the heartbeat still, not the heartbeat, but there's still somewhat life in the body.
Right.
And there's this pool of blood going on, and then more and more people come out. And that was the first true interaction, first moment where I was like, this is getting close to home. Shortly after that, the government officials announced that Pablo Escobar was targeting American families.
Wow. And what age were you at this very traumatic event?
So that event, I was 6 years old.
Wow.
6. I was just turned 6 years old.
So here it is. Your first 6 years it's just wonderful, right? Great memories. You're living in an amazing house.
Oh, beautiful.
Everything's peaceful. And then there's one day you got a rake in your hand. It's a typical day.
Yeah.
And you find yourself, observing and pretty much an executed murder.
Yeah, execution. Yeah, 100%.
So that was the day you said, okay, at 6 years old, you're thinking, okay, things have changed. Talk to us about what started to occur. What started to occur in your family when the family started realizing things are not safe.
Well, so kind of like my father was in the military. He was very proud to say he was in the Bay of Pigs. He was one of the 3,000 Marines that were sent down there as part of the CIA op, the Bay of Pigs, Brigade 2506, who was captured in 3 years. So he's, all about procedures, bunkering down, tightening up the squad. So that's what we did, right? So because right after that, it was like, that was the first thing, kind of thing as like COVID, right?
Right.
First cases in China, then one here in the States, and all of a sudden it was like, man, we gotta quarantine. We gotta go in our house. We can't do this. We can't do that. So that was literally right after that. So we really didn't go out. So we were guarded behind the walls. My father actually got somebody to come and give us 24-hour security. armed, armed man in front with a M16, just kind of standing watch. I mean, I've never shared that before.
Right.
So he would be there like 24/7, two-man rotation. And my father had his weapons in the house, and we would just stay home. And you would hear in the surrounding areas people getting killed. And I remember there was another instance shortly after that. There was a taxi who parked in front of at the end of our driveway. We had a gate, and we were playing soccer in our driveway. And these gentlemen, they come out with what I mean, I think they were like submachine guns. I think they come out of the taxi, and I'm kind of looking. My brother's closest to them, and they look at him. My brother does an about face, like I ain't see nothing. They run up. Probably 4 or 5 minutes later, that's all you hear. Run back down, get in the taxi, and they're like, "You didn't see nothing," and we were like, "Nope."
Wow.
We didn't see nothing. So those things kept happening. There was a car bombing that happened shortly, not too long after that, where that shattered our windows in our home.
Wow.
So we're driving back from the supermarket, right? We get to the supermarket, kind of like quarantine, only go out for the essentials. And there was no Amazon Prime where you could get it delivered to your house. So
no DoorDash.
No DoorDash, no Uber. It was the Ford Bronco that took us there and took us back. And that day we had when we came back, we unloading the groceries, and we're about to start cooking. I was helping my mom cooking, and all of a sudden, man, you hear a boom. Like, can you hear? That when the bombs go off, they have that vacuum effect, right?
Right.
So it was like all the windows. When I tell you, and we have a wall in front of a 12-foot wall. Right. Imagine how strong this explosion was, that it broke through all that. The momentum kept going and shattered all the windows in the house. Wow. And we dropped. As soon as we heard it, we dropped, cover our head for all these windows that were broken. And then that's when we're like, all right, my parents are like, let's go. We gotta go. So we left Medellin. Yeah.
Right. So wow. So here you are in combat before you even turned 10.
Right before I signed up for it.
Right. Didn't volunteer, by the way, but so now mom and dad makes the decision. It was a big decision. We're going to relocate. So talk to us about that phase. Where they make the decision to leave this wonderful house, which is now in the middle of a lot of turbulence and a lot of crime, if you will. And so now you guys are making a track from Colombia up to the United States. How did that go? And where did you guys end up settling down?
Man, that was tough. That was a very tough transition for all of us. So we, the decision came down, and we found ourselves quickly on the airport.
Right.
Literally, like it felt like one day to the other. And, we just packed up, I guess, whatever. It was like a movie. We packed whatever in the luggage. We got to the airport.
Right.
We got on the plane. I got the seat. I was next to the wing of the plane. I don't like to sit. So I don't like to sit. I've never shared this with even my wife.
Well, this is Unarmored Talk, so I'm glad.
I don't like to sit next to the wing. Not because I'm scared, because it reminds me.
It's a trigger.
A really bad memory of Colombia and all those things that happened.
Wow.
So I never sit in that area because it causes anxiety for me. So I never sit. So we sat next to the wing, right? And I remember looking at the airport. My dad and my brother had to stay behind because they needed to sell whatever they could and finish business and then come back.
Right.
We got here, so it was my mother, who has no English, right? Didn't really work, took care of that. Didn't have a job where she went to work, but she took care of all of us. And then you had myself, who I was 9 at that. I was like 6, 7, 8, like 9, I think. And then my brother Ulysses, who was like 13 or 14, and my youngest brother Martino, who's 6 or 7. So we come into America,
Right.
right? We were going to go to Miami. We went to Miami. We landed there. We were in my with my tia, mi tío, my aunt and uncle, and all that. We were there for 6 months, and my mom is like, "Now we're going to go to New Jersey." We took an Amtrak to New Jersey,
Wow.
longest train ride ever, and it was midwinter. I've never seen winter, never experienced winter. Colombia is eternal spring, my man. It is the perfect weather all year long. We get to Newark Penn Station. After we get there, doors open into snow. I am wearing purple sweatpants, a green sweatshirt, and some high tops that I got from my cousin. Right, worst outfit ever. We'll never wear it again. And then it was just cold, and I'm looking around. I'm like, what are we doing here? My mom, shut your mouth. Let's go. So you're like, yes, ma'am. We get in there, and my aunt's waiting there in a, the old school Suzuki hatchback when it first came out.
Yeah.
That big trunk. So that's what you picked us up in, all of us in.
Wow.
So we were like this. We get there. We get to the house. She's living in a one-bedroom apartment. So we moved in there for a little bit. Then we had to move to to an attic. So long story short, for the first year, almost 2 years, we were homeless. So we went from living a very luxe lifestyle with maids, you name it, we had it, right? To being homeless.
Wow.
Having nothing. To having to start from zero. And I'm only 9. And I understand all this, right? I wasn't raised sheltered from life. I know what's going on at that point. I knew what we needed to do, in a sense of just looking at the situation. And my mom had brought $15,000 with her, $15,000 to get a car, for food, for clothing, for this, for that, and then somehow survive until my father got there a year later with my brother.
So wow. So how did that, that the most important, I believe, part of any human development's life, right? Anybody's life is the beginning. And so you have this very beautiful start to your life, and then chaos comes. Now you're homeless, right? You went from this beautiful home to essentially nothing. You're in New Jersey, which you're not familiar with, that state, nor the weather.
Mm-hmm.
How did that play?
No English either.
And no English. But how did so as you got older, and you reflect back on that beginning, how did that? Do you believe, what type of emotions did you start to realize you were dealing with, and how did you think through the trauma, right? The emotions that are tied to that beginning.
It's a good question. Emotions. I didn't feel. At that moment. I didn't feel emotions. We were. It's weird. Like, we were prepared for that moment. Like, my father, my mother, they never raised us in a way where this is what we have. We have the nice clothes. They never lived on a materialistic standpoint. It was always what you have, you help people out with. I used to bring the homeless kids in the block to our house every Friday so they could shower. We will give them new clothes and we'll feed them once a week. I never hung out with the rich kids. We always donated clothing. I have aunts that are nuns, that are the head of the nunnery. I mean, that never came to my mind. We're like, oh my God, we're stuck in this one. I never did, right? Because we had to be strong. And my mom was like, you got to be strong. We'll be fine. And I'm like, all right, we'll be fine. So you deal with the situation. It wasn't fun at all, because things that we could afford before, we couldn't afford now. Right. We understood that. And it was okay. We will have to. I remember I'll tell you one that was tough. Food, right? I remember being on my one of the places we stayed at, which was my aunt. We stayed in her attic. It was so cold too. And at dinner time, because it was so many of us, they would I'm trying to find, imagine a bowl like this.
Yeah.
This is probably 3 by 3 by 3 by 3, right? Small bowl. And in that bowl, you had rice, you had beans, and a piece of steak.
Right.
And sorry about that. Sorry, Major. And each person received that. That was the ration for dinner or lunch or breakfast. And I was like, man, where's the rest of the food? I never asked because I would get my butt whooped. But I was like, man, where's the rest of the food? We can't be like this, like, what's going on? Because in Colombia, man, we have feasts. We have too much food, right?
Now here you have minimum food, and it's interesting to listen to you because how you talked about you didn't have any fear or anger, or you just or you had those emotions, you just weren't aware of them during this journey, which is amazing. But now let's speed up to now the older, right? I won't say older, I say seasoned. Speed up to the more.
I like the season better.
And it's probably because of my age. You know what I mean? I'm still young, 45. But
you're young.
Yeah, oh yeah. But in my mind, I'm 20, 26. But let's speed up to today, where now you reflect back and you go, man, I was scared, or maybe I was nervous, or maybe I was angry, or maybe. And as you reflect back, do you recognize any of those emotions when you're younger, or is it playing a part in your later life than it did before? Because before you was in it. Now the smoke is cleared. You got time to reflect. Talk to us about that. What have you learned and gained from looking back into that first 10 years of very, very turbulent upbringing, if you will?
Oh, I look at it big time. And especially during this last year, during quarantine, I see a lot of people struggling with it and going through things. And myself, I'm just grateful, right? I think that's the word we could use here, Sergeant Major, is being grateful for everything that you have.
Yeah.
And I think about it every day. Something comes up every day that reminds me of having to find change to buy something extra, not to tell my mother because I don't want her to feel bad. Trying to gather $12 to buy a $12 box of blow pops and then go sell it at school and flip it for $48.
Right.
And then use that money to give to my mom to pay car insurance, to pay the rent. And then she's asking me, where'd you get that money from? I'm like, cutting grass, or make up something so she wouldn't get upset, right? Those are the moments I think about. Those are the moments I think about when I'm really struggling in my own head. Because again, when you have an issue, it's yourself who's bringing up the issue. It's yourself who's in a troubled spot. So for when I find myself in those spots and I get out of them, I think about my past and how it has shaped me. It has shaped me somebody to be more vulnerable, be more unarmored, kind of going off the podcast here. And it has made me into that much better individual, 100%. And knowing that it could be a lot worse. So that's why I don't panic. I just feel like there's a solution for everything. We just have to take a minute, take a deep breath, and look at it from a top bird's view to see what's going on. How are we going to fix the situation? And like David Goggins say, if there's a mountain there that it's just too hard to climb, maybe it's not your mountain. Look to the right or left. There's a sidewalk there. Walk around the mountain that's not yours, and then attack the one that is for you.
Yeah, no, and I like how you articulated the thinking process. And that's why we built the podcast is to help people understand that to think it takes effort. It is not natural for a human being to just go, let me think through this. What is natural is the emotional response, right? Somebody punch you in the face, you want to punch them back. You don't think through it. but it's just my example. But I love how you highlighted the way you think. right? When you start to, and I'll use your words, when you're struggling in your own head, you go into a thinking process where you use the past to pull positive energy. So your behavior is a very productive and positive behavior, not one that's kind of paralyzed. You're not paralyzed by your past and the bad things. So I love how you articulated how you reference your past, but you look for positive memories or things about your past to help you remain positive. And I think that's commendable.
And it's our major, and a thing on that, a note on that, I want to share with the community here, especially the veterans that are listening. I think this is a key point. You know, not always I pull from the positive, I pull from the negative. I
Right.
remember I was 12 years old. I'm trying to learn English, being made fun of, being bullied. I fought a lot. And it came to a point that I got very depressed, very sad, that I tried to take my own life 2 times.
Wow.
I hanging myself. And it didn't work. The rope wasn't, I was too tough for the rope, and it just didn't, it wasn't doing the job.
Right.
But I remember my brothers, they walked in when the second time and they grabbed me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, and I remember I was crying. I was like, "Man, the people here don't want us here. They don't love us. They make fun of me every time I speak. You're English and you're this, the way you look, you don't even look Spanish. You don't even like, I didn't look Spanish to Spanish people, and I didn't look American to American people. Right. So I didn't feel, for a period of time, I did not feel like I fit in. It was really tough. And I remember I don't know what happened one summer where I just said, F it. And it's like, you have to look to yourself, right? Your success is on you. And that's it. Stop letting the outside factors determine how happy you're going to be, how miserable, how sad you're going to be. If you're going to be sad, let that shit be because of you, right, not because of somebody else. And those were some of the dark moments for me. And I think about that, man. I think about that. Right. And it motivates me, because I was able to push through a lot. To come here with not a spoken word of English that said, "Hi, how are you? Hello," that they teach you back in Colombia, to be able to author a cookbook, to be able to be on TV networks that are watched by millions and millions of people, to be able to speak in front of hundreds of people. I mean, there's so many things that I've been able to do on this roadmap to this talk, being here with you, Sergeant Major, on Unarmored Talk, to be able to, share that. It's taken a lot of work. Right. It's taken a lot of sacrifice. And I have loved every single minute, because the biggest gain out of all of this they're downstairs right now. It's Leon, Sane, and my wife, Lady.
Ladies and gentlemen, you all heard it from Chef Ronaldo Linares. Is no matter what, life events, we all have life events as soon as we wake up. But if you use the thought process and you really become aware of your emotions and you think through things, you can create potentials for unlimited outcomes. And I love, Chef, how you highlighted when you weren't thinking, in the 2 times that you tried to take your own life through an emotional decision. And thank God that you were, your neck was too big and you were too heavy for the rope, and I love the humor that we were able to do. But you are amazing. You have an amazing story. I follow you Instagram. I'm one of your stalkers, right? But how can the rest of the world, right? How can our listeners and viewers find Chef Ronaldo Linares?
Man, you can find Chef Ronaldo Linares just by that. Just type in at Chef Ronaldo Linares on any of the platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Website is ronaldolinares.com. And that's where you can find me at, and find, kind of what I'm doing, what I'm up to, what I'm pushing. And just, again, show the love, show the support. And it's not so much about the likes or the follows. It's more, somebody great. I can't remember his name. I'll think about his name in a second. He said to me one day, he's like, "You know what, Ronaldo? I don't look for for the likes or the comments or nothing like that. I don't really care about that. All I care about is just one person liking it, because that means I did my job where I impacted that one individual, and then I just kind of walk away from it and go on to the next piece of content. And that is obviously you, Sergeant Major, who said that to me a few months back, and that really stuck to me, because we live in a society that is all depending on how many likes and comments that one got. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It matters is what impact it is that you're leaving behind. If that one person got it and liked it, that means you impacted their life.
Right. Yeah. Hey, and see, Ronaldo is a very humble, I've known him over a year now, and he's a very humble gentleman. Yeah, he is. But he has a YouTube channel too. And his YouTube
YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
That's YouTube. Right. Ronaldo Linares.
He's got a YouTube channel. It's got almost like 800 subscribers. So get out there and subscribe. He's one of the most dynamic chefs. Chef Irvine got to watch it because Ronaldo's coming. And anyway, he's one of the most dynamic chefs I've ever met in my life, and also a Marine Corps veteran. But again, Chef Ronaldo, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Before I let you go, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, always leave us a review. All right. And if it's 1 star, we're fine with that. We're aware of our emotions in Unarmored Talk. It helps us get better and gain a more accurate way of thinking to improve the show. And then you can watch this episode on my YouTube channel at Mario P. Fields YouTube. Get on there, watch it, subscribe. And hey, so before I close it out, any last remarks or words to our listeners and viewers?
Any last remarks or words? Yes, definitely. Pay attention to the pay attention to the inner critic, the one that lives in your head. Yeah, it's up to you whether you want that critic to be the owner of that space or to be a partner with you. So turn that critic into positive and make that critic your partner in life, not your detriment.
I like that. And I'm going to put my credit in my thought process so we can make some behaviors become positive as heck for the next, I think we'll live another 100 years, man. Yeah, but hey, but ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'll see you later.